What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today we are going to be doing a cool little versus the Sig MCX Spear. This is the new evolution of the MCX. This is the 308. The military version of this is the new infantry rifle, and I think that's going to be in 277. However, the civilian version is in 308, and that's for good reason. 308 has a lot of perks. It gives you good ballistics. It gives you a large bullet that's great for hunting, that's great for target shooting. It's not as good at long range as maybe it used to be with the advent of 6.5 and 6mm cartridges, but it's still real good, and it hits very hard, and it's relatively affordable, especially if you get milsurp and stuff like that. So it's a good caliber in a really cool rifle, and I want to compare this to the Scar 17. Now the Scar 17 has been kind of the go-to 308 rifle for the last couple of decades, just simply because it is a quality 308 semi-automatic. It also comes in 6.5, but only the 20-inch version. Both these are going to be 16-inch barrels. Both these are going to be piston systems. Both these are going to be semi-automatics, and both of them are going to be kind of designed around the DMR role. Now I know the Sig Spear is more of an infantry rifle, but I seriously doubt that's the actual category it's going to fill. I think that guns like this really fit into the DMR role. You know, 20-round magazine capacity. The ammunition is going to be a lot heavier than 5.56, so they're pretty good with a magnified optic. You throw a 1-8 on one of these or a 1-6 on one of these, and you're going to have a really good all-around rifle that hits very hard, goes through barricades, and can take down pretty much any animal in North America. On top of that, they actually be pretty good home defense guns if you put a flash hider on it and you don't live in an apartment or with a lot of neighbors nearby, because these will certainly penetrate through several layers of drywall. That's kind of an understatement. So I like the 308 semi-auto, and I think these are the two best. I think for me personally, these are the two I like the most as far as semi-automatic 308. So I know there's a lot of AR-10 variants out there, and I do dig the AR-10. However, I have had a lot of reliability problems with the AR-10 platform in general over the past few years. And the MCX is a piston system, the Scar is a piston system, and for whatever reason, they both have worked well for me. They're both in video games, they both look cool, and they both have that military track record that I like. So I thought it would be a good comparison, considering they basically filled the same role. Scar kind of getting eclipsed lately by the MCX, and we're going to talk about some of the pros and cons of those in this video. I just wanted to do a quick versus because you guys were asking me to do it, so here we are. Now before we get into the video, I do want to mention my Patriot supporters. A lot of the guns, a lot of the ammunition, accessories, all that fun stuff that's purchased on the channel is purchased by you guys. We really appreciate you supporting the channel. We try to give you the most honest gun content possible, and the industry doesn't always love that, so we appreciate you supporting us. If you want to do that, just go to the link in the description and sign up. Also in the description of this video is a link to a local shelter in Ames, Iowa. It's the YSS, it's a youth shelter in Ames, Iowa. That link will bring you right to the donate page. Please go down and click that link and donate a few bucks to those kids. All right, so both 16-inch barrels, both piston systems, but one has a much larger bolt than the other. Now they both have adjustable gas systems if you want to run suppressed. However, the Scar, you void the warranty if you run suppressed. I'm not sure about the Sig, so keep that in mind. I've ran only the MCX suppressed, and it ran just fine. As long as you twist the gas system back and forth, you have perfect reliability. The recoil and pulse doesn't change. However, with the Scar, I just simply have not done that. Going to the rail of the gun, let's talk about that's a big change between the two. The rail on the Sig MCX is a more modern, 2020s design. We have an M-lock rail here that extends almost to the end of the barrel. I think it's a 13-inch, so it goes all the way almost to the gas system, so you can adjust that really well. But you have a lot of room to not only put accessories, you have a QD mount in there. It feels very good in your hand, but the other thing it does is cover the barrel for barricade use and stuff like that. A lot of people don't talk about that, but if you put the barrel on a barricade or put the barrel on a piece of cover, you can change the point of impact of the firearm by messing with the barrel. So that's what's awesome about the MCX, especially in a DMR role. Whereas the Scar 17 is going to come with a very short quad rail, and you can fix that. Obviously we have a Midwest Industries rail on here. However, it is kind of a pain in the ass to put on, and it is extra cost, and in all fairness, it's still probably not as good as the modular system of the MCX, because you can actually take the MCX off with just a couple of screws, the rail, and you can put on a shorter one, longer one, whatever you wanted to do. If you want to exchange barrels, you can do that really quick in the MCX as well. As for the Scar, not so much. Now, let's get to the charging handle. That's a big deal. So on the charging handle on the Scar, as you well know, if you're a Scar fan, for the past couple decades, it's been reciprocating, and that sucks. Say what you want, that sucks. It's always better to have a non-reciprocating charging handle, and there's a couple reasons why. Number one, you can bump it on your hand, or you can bump it on cover, you can bump it on a barricade or anything like that, and you can induce a malfunction that you otherwise would not. And that's actually a surprisingly common thing with the Scar if you use it in a lot of adverse conditions and stuff like that. But the new one, the one that you see here, the non-reciprocating version, doesn't reciprocate when you run the bolt, which is very, very nice. It has a little bit different takedown than the original, so you'll have to look that up, but it does work better in my personal opinion. You can even get kits for this to upgrade your old one if you want. Now, the MCX does not have that. Now, not only does the MCX not have a reciprocating bolt, but it has a much smaller bolt as well. The bolt in the Scar is very big and it's very heavy, and it has a tendency to give you a little bit more perceived recoil, in my opinion, but also the Scar is notorious for busting up optics. Something to do with the harmonics in them. It's very difficult on optics and mounts. I broke a mount recently, in fact, on the Scar when we were out shooting with it, and that's something you won't experience with the MCX. Also with the MCX, you're gonna have the side charging handle, which works really well because it's a little bit bigger than the Scars, but also it folds out of the way. So you have no problems with it hitting anything or having to deal with anything unless you wanna run it. And then on top of that, it doesn't reciprocate, so you don't have to worry about it. Add in another feature that you have the T-handle on the back. So if you used to run an ARs and stuff like that, you can run it with the T-handle. One caveat there though, is that if you have a stock, for example, with a cheek piece on it, like I like to run an elevated cheek piece on my DMRs. That way, if I set my face on the stock, close my eyes, open my eyes, I still have a good sight picture. That kind of tells you that's where your face needs to be. Cheek weld is very important for long range accuracy. If you run a cheek piece, that T-handle will not work. You'll just bang the shit out of your hands trying to run it back into it. So keep that in mind. Even on some of the stocks, even the one included, it will actually bang in there. So keep that in mind. Aside from the charging handles, we have the color of the receiver and the rails, and I believe that the Scar looks kind of cool, but it's a mismatched jumble of craziness. And at least the MCX has a complete color all the way through, and I do kind of like that. It looks like a very blingy gold FDE. Looks very, very cool. Ambi controls on both, however, you have an ambi bolt release and bolt catch on the MCX, making it just a hair better. And then on the stock system, we have a buffer tube with a folding stock because this doesn't need a buffer tube, neither one of them do, but they both have buffer tubes. This one comes with it out of the box, so you can fold this if you want, and you can use any AR stock that you want. Very, very nice. Now the Scar, I have this Mesa Tactical adapter on here to give me an AR stock because I do not like the Scar stock. The UGG boot looks ugly, and in my opinion, it just doesn't feel that great. Now, there's some fans of it. Like it if you like it, I don't care. I just don't personally like it. I prefer the AR stock, so I went with this. Second thing is you can get like the ACR stock and stuff like that for the Scar. However, I also don't like that stock. So the only way to fly for me with the Scar is with the adapter, and I actually didn't even pick one up until I got one of these, simply because I just don't like the stock system on the Scar. That being said, it does have an interesting takedown. The takedown on the MCX is more AR-15 style, where the Scar is a whole nother beast all its own. So be ready for the different battery of arms, the different takedown, and the non-friendly components with an AR with the Scar 17. It's its own platform, whereas the MCX is kind of half an AR, half a Scar. Pistol grips, everything like that, you're gonna have to either get aftermarket. They do make AR grips that are modified for the Scar. However, all AR grips and stuff like that will fit on the MCX. Very cool. The MCX also comes with, I think, like a Radian, I think this is actually a Radian ambi safety. Very nice, although the Scar comes with a 45-degree safety on it from the factory as well. Scar controls are cool. However, the trigger is much better on the MCX. Much better. Much better. Now they do sell a Geisley trigger for the Scar, and that's great. I do have one of those, but it's like $400. So if you're adding up how much money you actually need to put into the Scar in order to get it as good as the MCX, you'd probably just be way better off buying the MCX. Now me personally, I actually like the Scar better. A little better. Kind of, when I'm not shooting it. I like the Scar so much because it's been in so many movies, so many video games. I've used it in a lot of video games. I love to like CQB with the Scar 17 with an EOTech on. I know it sounds stupid, but it's so fun to run this thing fast with an EOTech because it feels like you shouldn't be able to do it. And it's kind of fun to run heavy metal and stuff, and I just really like the way the Scar looks. I've always liked it, and I've had kind of a love affair with it my whole life, and that's the reason why I have one. If you're looking for pure features and usability, accuracy, recoil impulse, I think pretty much the MCX beats it on every level. Now that's my personal opinion. The whole video is my personal opinion, as all of my videos are, but that's what you come here for. I'm not gonna list off a set of specs and not give you my opinion. And in my personal opinion, if you're gonna shoot them back to back, you're way better off with the MCX, especially if it's out of the box. If you dig the SCAR, you can get the SCAR to the level of the MCX for sure, don't get me wrong. Now if you shoot these two like back to back now that I've tricked this guy out, they're the same, but out of the box the SCAR is definitely inferior in my personal opinion. Now if you consider the fact that the MCX MSRP 4 is like 4K, the SCAR comes in for about 3, sometimes 3.5. You might be able to get in one for a little less right now. Maybe it's a good buy. Put like a couple thousand into it, and you basically have the same platform. That being said, it really is up to personal preference. Both of them launch a 308 through a 16-inch barrel. Both of them do it equally as fast, equally as accurate, depending on the shooter. So I think they're both great guns. I think it's up to the style, the taste, and what you're gonna use it for. But for the most part, they're pretty close. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.